What's new in PKanalix 2021? I have loaded here a dataset with a crossover design. The dataset has now a fingerprint, which means that if any change happens to the original file, our apps will detect it at reload, even if the file name and headers do not change. This ensures that the results are always consistent with the data. This is a 2 periods and 2 sequences crossover dataset, which means that about half of the individuals received the reference formulation first and the test formulation afterwards, and for the other half, it's the opposite. You see that the data is split by sequence and period, so I have 4 plots. In this new version, I can rename and reorder the subplots. So let me rename the first one like this. And you see that now the header, the title of the plot changed, and I can also reorder them like that. We also have more options for the mean and error bars. For example, I can show the geometric mean with standard errors. This nice crossover dataset makes me want to check if the 2 formulations here are bioequivalent. Here is one of the biggest new features in PKanalix, a complete new bioequivalence task that appears here in the NCA tab. PKanalix detected on his own that we have a crossover design. Period, formulation, and sequences have been detected from the header names, and ref has been selected as the reference formulation. I can always adjust these factors if needed, and in particular, I can add also factors for groups if this is relevant. Above, you see as usual which parameters are computed for the NCA, but in addition, some of them have been selected for the bioequivalence analysis. And you can also decide if they should be log transformed. I run NCA and bioequivalence at once, and the most important result table shows the least square means for the different parameters in test and ref formulations, their ratio, and the confidence interval on this ratio. If the 90% confidence interval for the ratio falls within the BE limits, which are 80 to 125 by default, but you can customize them, then the formulations are considered bioequivalent. More result tables give you some usual bioequivalence statistics, but more importantly, as for every task in our apps, we provide several relevant diagnostic plots in the Plots tab. The confidence intervals plot summarizes the bioequivalence check. If the interval is between the thresholds, then it appears in green because there is indeed bioequivalence. The sequence by period plot is a very compact way to compare the statistics of bioequivalence parameters for the 2 periods for the test and reference formulations. And subject by formulation displays these parameters for each individual for the 2 formulations. In the 2021 version, we also have a new plot for the NCA task, which is the individual fits. To compute NCA parameters, we need to compute the terminal slope, and this is something that we usually set in the check lambda z tab. Here in the plots tab, we output all the data per ID and OC with the lambda z regression, and we show which points have been used to perform this regression. These points used for the lambda z regression are now also outputted as a file in the result folder, which was not yet the case in the 2020 version. In this new version, I can also stratify any summary table as I do it for plots. Looking, for example, at the table of NCA parameters, you see now the stratification panel on the right, which enables to filter and split the table by any covariate in the dataset, or even by several ones. I can split this table, for example, by formulation to compare the NCA parameters here for the 2 formulations. Last but not least, you will find many new R functions in the Lixoft connectors to get plots from your project and generate plot objects in R. For example, I can run a function called plotObservedData to generate the same plot as in the interface, with the data split by sequence and period and colored by formulation. The resulting object is a ggplot that is fully customizable with ggplot2 library in R. Combining these new R functions for plots with the existing connectors, you can now fully automate your workflows from data processing to running tasks like NCA, bioequivalence, CA, to the generation of a full report with result tables and plots. And this is how an example report could look like by using the connectors. Enjoy the new version of PKanalix with all its new features. And don't forget, we're always looking for feedback from you to improve your experience. Have a look at other short videos to discover what's new in Monolix or Simulix this year, or watch our last webinar to see the new Monolix suite in action with a parent metabolized case study.